Welcome to part 2 of the HMS Astute build-up. From the first episode, you know we're only going to be using this. There's only a few parts on there that I'm going to need to use, and also when it comes to the photo etch as well, there's only going to be a few of those that I'm going to need to use as well. Still not sure about the Astute class submarine part for the stand, really not sure about that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on and get all of the bits off, and then we can make some progress from there, hopefully. So I will catch up with you in a minute. We have made some progress on this wee beastie now, apart from nearly supergluing my arm to the board, but never mind. We've basically got the photo etch in now that we needed, so if we just bring this up to the camera, you can see there we've got a front piece in. It's basically a hoop at the front, and then we've got those 4 bits in at the front there. And then if we go around to the back, where is it? There it is. You can see we've got another little hoop in there. Unfortunately you can't really see it that well because the detail's so small. We've also got the top half of the rear rudder in. Not bothering with the bottom half because that's not going to be there. We've also got both of the front planes in as well, and then we've got 2 of the sticking out the top there, so one of them would be the telescope, and I think the other one is the radio communications as well. That's all we're going to do with that, really. That, believe it or not, is now ready for painting. I did use, to make the hoops, if we can hopefully bring you down, you'll be able to see. There we go. To help with making the hoops, I just basically used a 0.5mm drill bit, stuck that to my workbench, and then I was able to round those off on there, and also get the hard edges that I needed on there, so that's good. So they're all in. And then in the background, if we can find it somewhere around, all of that lot just there is the stuff that we're not using, which is kind of funny. And then if we can get this into shot as well, so we've basically got those 4 parts there that we're not using because they would be for the propeller cowling, and also that one for the propeller as well. As I say, the Astute class submarine, I might keep that, but I will just put that back in the box. The rest of these pieces down here, they will actually just go in the spare parts bin now, until we're done. So I'm just going to basically let the glue set up on this before I do anything further to it. The good thing is with this is that we do have the old tabs that we've cut out on the bottom there, as you can see, so I can actually use those on my little hand helper. Get this into shot. So I can just use this really to attach to those spots underneath, and I'll be able to spray that. I will just give it one sort of light spraying of primer first, obviously, because we've got the brass bits on there. So I'll give it a quick light spraying of the Tamiya primer, and then after that we're going to painting the ship. But first of all, these little plastic bits that we've got in, I'm just going to let them dry off to begin with. So as soon as we made some more progress on this wee beastie, I will come back to you. We've used the Tamiya fine surface primer on the submarine now. The only reason why I've actually used this is because it's for plastic and metal, although I don't think there's any real need to worry about the amount of brass that we've used on this, but I certainly wanted to get the brass covered up. We've got 5 parts on the front and then 1 part on the back as well, so I just wanted to get those covered up just to make sure that they were okay, and that the paint, the acrylic paint, wasn't going to start lifting up off of those parts. So that's done. As I say, Tamiya primer is my favorite because it's easy to work with, and it really does settle down really nicely, and you don't really need to start sanding the surfaces down once you've used that. I mean, on something like a big car or something, I'd most probably give it a light sanding just to make sure, but on something this small, there's just no need to use that. So I just need to wait for this to dry now. Once the primer is dried, I mean, it's pretty much all dry now already, but I just really want it to dry properly before I start anything else. So the next stage for me is to actually cover the whole thing in the XF1 by Tamiya, which is the flat black. Now, because this submarine, I do believe, uses acoustic tiling on the outside, I'm going to use a combination of the Tamiya black rubber, which is the XF 85, and well, I nearly sounded as though I come from Bristol then. And then we've also got the NATO black XF 69 as well. So I'm going to use those two to try and replicate the tiling around the ship or the submarine. Once that's done and it's dried, I will then just give it a gloss coat. Then I'll get the decals down on top of it. Once the decals are down and dried, I'll just put another coat over the top of that. Then I'll be doing the weathering on it. With this, we're not so much going to get rust build up on this, but we certainly would see some salt streaking on this. So what I'm going to do is just study some pictures and see where we get that kind of salt streaking going on, and then I'll try my best to replicate that. So as soon as that's done, I can then go over the whole thing with a matte lacquer just to finish it off, and then I can put that to one side, and then we can start working on the stand. So I think we've still got, even though this is pretty small, I think we've still got a little while to go yet before it's finished. It's going to be fairly easy to do, but you know, we just need to sort of, it's all the waiting periods on this really, but I still think that this is going to be quicker to do than actually doing the seascape itself. So as soon as we've got some more work done to this wee beastie, I will come back to you. Now I've got the flat black down on the submarine, and the next job that I've got going for myself is making the tiny little squares that I'm going to need to do the tile effect on the submarine. So what I've done is I've just basically used a strip of this, which is 1mm thick masking tape, and I've basically laid down a whole stretch on the bench, used my ruler, and then just cut 1mm squares from that. I mean, that amount there still isn't going to be enough. I need to cover the ship or cover the submarine. But I've kind of decided that I'm just going to do, like, you know, this whole strip to begin with, and then I'll get that transplanted onto the submarine. We can see how far that's going to take us. I think, if I'm right, there's something along the lines of about 500 little 1mm squares there, so it might be enough to actually cover most of the model. I'm not really sure at the moment. But we'll soon find out. It's going to be, well, it was tedious enough actually cutting those little squares out, but actually placing them on the kit is going to be even more tedious, I think, and it's just knowing where to start. I mean, the good thing is the planes up here and also on the back, they don't need to be done, they're fine. It's just really basically the rest of the submarine, sort of like all down the sides and the conning tower that need to be done like that. So if I'm lucky, that might actually do the whole lot. I mean, that goes from what centimetre? That goes from centimetre 43 all the way through to 87. So that's a big gap there. That's a lot of little squares of masking tape. But yeah, that's what we're doing. So I'm just going to carry on, get all those squares on. It's most probably going to take a little while. I think I was wrong when I said the submarine's going to be quicker to do than the seascape, because I've decided to add this extra detail to it. I think it's going to take me a lot longer to do. But hey ho, never mind. These things happen. We carry on. So as soon as I've got some more work done to this wee beastie, I will come back to you. Now managed to get the masking done on this wee beastie. It's only taken me 8 days to do all the masking down both sides and over the top of it and the conning tower. It's been a bit of a marathon on this one really, rather than a sprint, but it's looking quite good. The only things that I haven't done really are the tanks and the vents, I think they are. So yeah, it's not looking too bad at the moment. The next thing for me to do now is to just go over the whole thing with the black rubber XF85 and also the XF69, which is the NATO black. Once I've done that, I'll then be able to peel off all the masking tape that I've put on there. And then once that's done, I'll just give it a clear coat, then I'll put the decals on it. Thing I've noticed looking at the reference pictures is the fact that the markings that there are on the outside of the hull don't tally up with the markings that you get with the model. For some reason with the model you get lots of red and blue bands that come around the sides. They're not on there, and it calls for sort of areas of white to be done on the top of the submarine in some places as well, which isn't actually on the real submarine. So I'm going to be sort of close to doing it more to how the submarine looks than how Hobbyboss say that you should do it. But yeah, it's not looking too bad. I have had one little incident, or well, two little incidents really. The mast and the radio mast, I think that were at the top, unfortunately snapped off whilst I was doing this. Managed to rescue them from the carpet monster, so I will be putting them back on, but I'll do that once I've got all of the painting done and I've got the decals done and the weathering's done. Then I'll just put those back on again, and hopefully that should be okay. So as I say, yeah, the next stage for me is a bit of painting followed by some clear coats. So that's going to be jolly good fun for me. The funny thing is that most of this is actually going to be sort of under the water anyway. But never mind. So that's about it. I think this video might be going on a bit long now, so I shall catch you in part 3, where hopefully we shall have quite a lot of, or if not most of, the painting and decals down. So thanks for watching guys, and as always please do take care. Welcome to part 3 of the 1350 Astute class submarine build. Made a little bit more progress on the model. We've basically used the XF69 and the XF85, which is the NATO black and the rubber black, and we've basically painted the whole of the submarine now. I didn't go individually tile by tile to do it, because I think that would have actually looked a little bit too uniform really, to be fair, and not the kind of thing that you would see in nature. So what I did do with this is I just kind of done, I guess you could say it's a sort of monochrome snake skin look, I guess, in some respects. In the way that I've done it, which kind of seems to have worked, and I'm happy with the way that that's turned out. So if we just look there, you can kind of see what we've done there, and we've also got exactly the same sort of pattern albeit slightly differently, down on this side as well. So that's looking pretty good. Happy with the way that is going. Just really now waiting for that to dry. So what I've done in the meantime, the base that this is going into, I've used the moss green water undercoat. This is from the Woodland Scenic. You get quite a lot in there. It is quite big, to be fair, but what we've done is the MDF base that this is going to be sitting on. We've coated it once. I'm going to put another two coat, well, one maybe two coats on there, just to make sure that that's looking good. We've also done the same inside the picture frame as well. You can see there we've got the internal part of the picture frame done, right up to the edges on here as well. I have put masking tape around the inside edge because sorry, I'm not pointing there properly. On the inside of the edge here we've got masking tape, mainly because it's the same colour as the outside as the base, and I really want to try and keep it that way. So I just, as I say, just need to do maybe another 1 or 2 coats of the green moss onto there, and I'll be able to do that whilst I'm waiting for the paint to dry on the submarine. The next job obviously for this is now to go along and once the paint's dried, to go along and take off all that masking, and I bet you any money you like it's going to be a lot bloody quicker to take it off than it was to put it on. But there you go. I still haven't really put the bits back on the top there. I'm going to kind of do that last, really, when the submarine's actually sitting on the base and it's all done together. I'm keeping them safe. I just don't really want to put them back on again and then knock them off again, because if I do it like that it's just going to take forever to, you know, I'm just going to keep on gluing them back on again, and then it's just going to become a big stodgy mess, which is not something that I really want. So I'm going to leave it there, guys, and I will come back to you once I've made some more progress on this wee beastie.